The minute you entered medical school, frustration became the name of the game. Frustrated about what medical school should you be getting into? What should your rank be? Oh my god, there's an exam. Then I have to do this. There's this assignment. How am I doing versus everyone else? Med school's about to finish up. What do I want to actually do? What do I want to specialize in? Where should I go? What exams should I take? And then maybe you thought to yourself, what if I go to the United Kingdom? What if I go be a doctor there? And suddenly you feel like your frustrations tripled. Hey guys, Ibreez here. Now, how many of you are currently frustrated on your road to UK? Let's see some hands. Anyone? You? You in the back? I get it. It's totally understandable. It's very frustrating right now. It's not like things have necessarily gotten easier for a lot of us, and you might be sitting there and wondering, is this even worth it? Like, why am I putting myself through all this stress and tension, and what's the bottom line? Where am I actually seeing myself? And should I really be doing this? Have I made the wrong decision? So let's look at it in a couple of different ways. You might be a medical student watching this. You might be an intern. You might be somebody who's already done a little bit of postgraduate work, or you might be a registrar, fellow / consultant in your country, and you're thinking at different stages of your life, should I move abroad? If you're a medical student, you might be like, oh my god, UCAMLA, PLAB's going away. It's going to be a different exam. Everything's going to be so difficult. They don't want IMGs anymore. They're closing the door. I'm totally stuck. I missed the boat. Why wasn't I born earlier? If you're an intern, you're like, wait a second. They've closed all the dates for PLAB. I didn't get my IELTS or OET in soon enough. I don't know why this has happened. I've missed the boat completely. I have to also think about UCAMLA or maybe a postgraduate exam. And I don't want to do a postgraduate exam because PLAB is much easier than a postgraduate exam. That's it. I've missed my chance. If you're a little bit more along, you might be thinking to yourself, wait a second, do I do PLAB? Do I do a postgraduate exam? I don't know how I feel about doing a postgraduate exam. I'm not sure if I really want to go back to studying all over again. Do I have to start my training at the very bottom? Do I have to do the foundation program? Will they make me do everything all over again? How can I prove what I've done? And if you're a consultant, you might be thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, I might have to start all over again. I might have to be an intern. I have to think about studying again. I haven't thought about studying in years. And when I go to that classroom or when I'm working in that hospital setting, they're going to look at me and be like, oh, this person's so old. And everyone else is going to be so much younger. And how am I supposed to work in that environment? So we're going to pump the brakes. And let's be realistic about this, guys. First of all, nobody cares about you and your journey as much as you will care about what everyone else thinks about you and your journey. And what I mean by that is we tend to be the biggest critics of ourselves. We think we're not capable, or we think everyone else is looking at us, or we think everyone else is talking about us. And to be honest with you, everyone else is just really self-absorbed and thinking that everyone else is thinking things about them, but really nobody has time. Do you spend all of your free time thinking about the other people you work with, or do you think about the things that you need to do? Of course, you're thinking about the things that you need to do. So if we really look at it, so UCAMLA comes into place. So what? PLAB was there. You did PLAB. IMGs were doing that. UCAMLA, all the information there is on GMC's website. You need to know anything? You can ask. You can check. It's not like they're revealing some secret exam and they haven't told you what the pattern would be like, or they haven't given a blueprint of what kind of topics they're going to be covering, or they haven't told you how it's going to be structured or where they're going to take it. So you wanted to take PLAB. It's not going to pan out, but there's still a way for you to progress. If you're on the fence about a postgraduate exam or a licensing exam, because you're thinking, well, PLAB / UCAMLA, it's definitely going to be easier than a postgraduate exam, make a pros and cons list. Where do you actually see yourself going? How soon do you want this? And what is it about this pathway that's actually telling you to take a particular exam? If you're worried about competencies, you have to read it. The competencies tell you what you need to show and what you need to prove and who can sign off for them. If you think you can get it done in your home country and the regulations and rules behind those competencies allow you to do it, go ahead and do it. It doesn't matter if it takes a little bit of time. And on the topic of time, nobody cares how much time has passed from when you started to when you've decided to come to the UK. Literally, no one will hold it against you. There's no age restriction. There's no age limit. There's nothing like, oh, you've passed the age of 30. That's it. Can't take PLAB or any postgraduate exam or do anything like that. Or there's nothing that they'll say, excuse me, sorry, you're actually too old to work in this department. So don't be worried about that. You'll find a lot of international doctors may not even be much older than the people that they think that they're going to be, working with, and they're going to get all stressed out about it. Because even in the UK, people go to med school at different stages of their life, or they take a break and then they come back to training, or they lengthen their training by working less than full time. So believe me when I say nobody will look at you twice. And if you feel like you need to explain yourself, explain it, but I can guarantee you nobody's going to be asking for an explanation. Now, you might say, Ibreez, this is fantastic. You're saying all of this, but obviously you're not facing any frustrations. You don't know what it's like waiting for a PLAB 1 seat with COVID and everything that's been happening, or my family has all this pressure that they're putting on me, or, my life has been like this and I feel like I haven't actually achieved anything. First of all, let's really look at it. I pretty much had everything set up in terms of I could have just gone to the States, done my residency, been chillaxing there. I uprooted from all of that, came to work in the United Kingdom. My parents were like, Breeze, what are you doing? And I was just like, I've got a plan. We're going to try and see it through. And I had my vision board of what I wanted to do, and I had to see myself through it. I had to take exams that I didn't really think I needed to take, honestly, like the IELTS or OET. And I still had to prepare for them as anyone else would have. I took PLAB with literally no information about the exam beyond what GMC had. There weren't these types of Facebook groups, forums, telegrams, WhatsApp. There was no Road to UK for me. It was me scraping around and trying to see, okay, wait, does this make sense? Is this what they're actually asking for? And same with PLAB 2. I kind of just played it by ear. And I made a video already about how difficult it was for me to get GMC registration because I was basically putting one foot in two boats at that time, and it didn't really pan out the way I thought it was going to pan out. So there was that frustration. And on top of that, even though I got GMC registration eventually, and then I started applying for jobs, and I got a job, when we were applying for jobs at that time, there was actually a visa cap. So they were basically saying, we're only going to let this many visas get approved this year or this month. And anything beyond that, sorry, we'll see about next month. The biggest issue was it didn't matter if they really wanted me or if I did really well in the interview. They were basically prioritizing seniors, like, senior registrars or consultants, because the way that system was set up, it just wasn't fiscally smart to take in a junior grade. It just made more sense to take a senior grade. So for about 6 or 7 months, I was just dangling in the wind waiting. I had a job in hand, but I couldn't go anywhere without a work visa. And it wasn't until I put a little bit of effort into thinking, what can I do to get myself out of the situation, that finally I was able to actually get a visa and start my career in the NHS. And then when I started, I had to figure out, how do I get into training? What about my portfolio stuff? What about my competencies? And I asked around. I looked at what I could do. I followed by others' examples, and I tried to see, actually, what is it that I want? Where do I see myself this time next year? And is that what I want to do? Am I going to be happy doing those things? There's never going to be a stage in your life, forget your career, where you're going to be like, yes, totally happy, no concerns whatsoever, everything is perfect. There's always going to be a little bit of frustration in life. And I think as humans, we're just a little bit naturally attuned to being unhappy if we allow ourselves the chance to actually sit there and whine about it. But instead of whining about it, let's look at things objectively and think about, actually, how can I make things better for myself if I'm not currently happy with what I'm doing? So maybe you're sitting there right now and you haven't thought about the United Kingdom at all. And suddenly I'm saying all these things to you and you're thinking about yourself right now in your current position and you're thinking, actually, Breeze, you're right. I'm not happy and there are things I can do to make it better. So why am I not doing those things? Frustration doesn't always mean you should allow yourself to be in a constant state of chaos and stress. And I'm not also saying that frustrations can easily be alleviated by you just deciding one day to rebel and go against the system. No, of course not. There are some frustrations, like, for instance, if you're being bullied, if your contract isn't as what it should be, if you're not being paid the correct amount, that you can, yes, stand up and say, excuse me, hi, this is not correct. And there's going to be definitely some frustrations along the way until you get those things resolved. But there are other things, like if you're unhappy with your current working conditions because you think you should be valued for more, then you can move to a new job. You can find a new environment. And again, not easy. Maybe you're saying to me, well, Ibreez, I can't just uproot my entire life or my family, or I have parents, or I have other responsibilities. I definitely understand. This is why it's really important that you set out for yourself what you want and why you want it. If it's a vision board, if it's a pros and cons list, if it's you just sitting there one day and actually just thinking to yourself, what would make me happy? Or what would at least keep me content and do everything that I need to stay that way? Be it keeping your family happy, or having the kind of salary or lifestyle that you want. That's what you have to do. I'm not going to sit here and say you're not going to ever be frustrated again when you come to work in the UK. There are different frustrations at different points of your life, be it in training, be it not in training, be it as a consultant or outside of that. You're going to be frustrated at various points in your life, and you're going to maybe question all of this and say, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I should go back. And that's what you need to figure out. Never just kind of do this whole sunken cost fallacy that, look, I put all this time and effort into wherever I am today, and it doesn't matter if I'm miserable because I've already put in this effort. I've just got to see it through. Unless you actually see it as a sustainable way of progression, and that there is some form of a light at the end of that tunnel, it's really not healthy to think of things as a sunk cost fallacy or as a money pit that I've already put so much into it. Let me just see what happens. Sometimes you have to have the strength to stand up and say, enough is enough. I know my worth. I know what I want to work towards. So those of you who have clicked on this video and are wondering, what is Ibreez talking about? Let this video serve as your boost, your inspiration. I am your personal cheerleader, and I am cheering you on. You've got this. Yes, you're frustrated right now, but you've got to ask yourself, are you going to be frustrated tomorrow? Are you trying to make a better future for you, for your family, for your children, for whoever? Is the ultimate goal what you've always wanted it to be? And yeah, there are going to be hurdles along the way. You're going to stumble. You're going to fall, and you're going to wonder, is it worth standing back up? And you've got to ask these questions to yourself at every point. But you shouldn't let it be the thing that keeps you down. And you shouldn't let what other people say affect you either. What's best for you, you know. And you can seek the advice of others around you that you trust and support. And just make that conscientious decision to say, actually, yeah, I'm doing this for this reason, and I'm going to keep working towards that goal. So I hope this has been uplifting. I hope you come out of this thinking, I can do this. I'm a strong, independent doctor who doesn't need to hear what other people say, and I'm going to do what I want to do because I know what's best for me. So please continue to follow us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Check out our awesome Road to UK forum. And if maybe you want to talk about this further, you could always book a personalized guidance session with either me or Ibrahim. And we'll see you next time.